Hey everybody, Syntax77 here, and today we're going to do some conversation on backpacking, camping, and travel, because I've got a whole lot of
mail, mountains of it. It'll be a red letter day when the postman blows mail call.
Alright then, so let's get right down to it. I got 3 packages over here that I'm assuming are probably outdoors related to maybe get some conversation going. I don't know what's in any of these. And then, of course, viewer comments as well, which let's just start with one of those. Let me see what I got here. Now, my most recent video was my feature-length trip video where I went to the Black Forest Trail in Pennsylvania. And I had a blast doing that trip and making the video, and people seem to be enjoying it. First comment related to that video is from Brody V, and he actually brings up a good point and a topic I didn't bring up on the video, but maybe I should have, but we will now. And he says, "Hey Sean, great video as always. It seems to me that the double stacked orange blazes are confusing when they are directly above each other." And he's referring to the orange blazes on the Black Forest Trail. It's entirely blazed in orange. If you're on orange, you know, unless you're like me, spoiler alert for the video, you know for the most part that you are on the Black Forest Trail. But I did have some issues with when it came to turns on the trail. So that's what he's talking about here. He says double stacked orange blazes are confusing when they're directly above each other, just one on top of the other. On the AT, when there's a turn, the top blaze would indicate which way to turn. The top blaze would be off-center, left or right, indicating the direction of the turn. This is just my observation. I could be wrong. I don't believe you are. I think you're dead on there, Brody. And it's a good point. I almost said it on the video. They don't seem to do that at all on the Black Forest Trail, just whoever is in charge of blazing there. I'm sure it's a group of volunteers, and I much appreciate that. But they seem to just do the straight, stacked blazes wherever you are. And most of the time, that is pretty much okay. I mean, you can tell pretty quickly that, okay, the trail's going over here. Use common sense and go that way. But a lot of times the reason they have to tell you there's a turn is because it's in a confusing area. Like maybe there's a herd path or an animal path of some sort that looks like the trail's leading one way, and they want to get your attention and tell you to turn left. So that's when in most instances I see that they put that blaze either to the left or the right, and it makes it really simple. There were several times on this trip where I would come to like a split in the trail, and sure enough there would be a double blaze there, but are they telling me which way should I go, left or right? Sounds simple, but when you are exhausted and trucking it, and well, every minute kind of counts as far as moving and not being confused, not to make it sound too dramatic, it does really help to just know right away what they're talking about. So yeah, I do like that blaze system, and for those of you newer to hiking, keep that in mind. Double blaze means turn, and if the trail curators are particularly nice, they just might put it to the left, meaning to turn left, or to the right, meaning to turn right. So that is a good point, Brody. Let's see, do we open a package now or maybe read one more comment? This is from Mike N. He's up in British Columbia. Says, I enjoyed the Black Forest Trail video. Takes lightweight backpacking to a new level, traveling without rain gear, but I wouldn't want to try that in the mountains of northern British Columbia. So that is a good point. And I kind of brought it up on the video. When I did that loadout, I took this bag and I wanted to fit, as I hit myself in the face, I wanted to fit everything in this 21-liter pack, and I did that, but I had to sacrifice some items. Now, I was originally planning to go down south where it was warm, so I didn't bring rain gear, because a lot of times I've noticed that in warm weather, it's counterproductive, and I end up just sweating anyway. And I find sometimes just getting a little rain on me, well, it cleans my dirty self up a little bit, and then as I hike in warm weather, I dry off. Where I ended up going was up north in Pennsylvania, and the lows were in the 40s. And no, I wouldn't advise not taking rain gear on a trip like that. I did end up doing it. I kind of made that choice, but I wouldn't outright suggest that to people, especially if you're new to backpacking. You want to find out what works for you. And being wet in even 50-degree weather or 60-degree weather can be not too fun at camp. But I got through it. I also did luck out on the rain, which helped me a lot. Probably would have been better for the video if I did get rained on, just to show what does happen when you don't have rain gear in those kind of conditions. But that is a good point. Rain gear is good. Plus, as I've mentioned before, I like to use that top layer rain gear as a windbreaker, even if it's not raining. In my case, I just brought a long sleeve kind of synthetic t-shirt. All right, let's open one of these packages here. Return address is Miami, Florida, North Miami, Florida. Will it be backpacking related? I don't know. Hi Sean, a lot of people use our cubes outdoors and we love to grow this part of our community. Maybe you will find them useful on your next hike. So what? Oh, coffee cubes. Okay, now usually I use the dehydrated Nescafe little single serving packets or the Starbucks ones when I'm feeling extra fancy. But this here is premium instant Colombian coffee in their cubes. I've never heard of this before, so I guess you're getting a shout out today, huh, Jiva? Jiva Cubes. Anybody ever used these before? It's individually wrapped. It almost looks like a Esbit cube that I would cook with, but it's the color of coffee. Throw it in 8 ounces of water per cube. As a hot beverage or cold. I do often do that on the trail. Anybody else out there do that? A lot of times I'm lazy. I'll just take some really cold water from the stream, treat it of course so that it's safe to drink, and then just throw some dehydrated, or freeze-dried I should say, coffee in there, shake it up, iced coffee, boom. So I will try these out. Thanks Jiva Cubes. And it looks like you gave me a couple different flavors here too. This is regular coffee classic. I got hazelnut, mocha, and ooh, black. Okay, so they are pre-sweetened except for the black one, which is still 5 grams of carbs. How's that possible? It includes non-sweet raw cane sugar. What's non-sweet raw cane sugar? That's interesting. Seems like a paradox to me, but I'll try it. 5 grams isn't the end of the world. There you go. Coffee on the trail. Anybody out there have a brand of coffee that they would suggest? I'm open to trying new things. Let's do another comment. I don't want to spoil the video for anybody who hasn't seen it, but I'll just say there was a bird encounter in the video that was kind of interesting, and I'll leave it at that. And for those of you that saw the video, I have some people chiming in. Someone did say this was from Varmint Zapper, most likely a grouse. And then someone else said, and I think there was 2 people that said this, but this one, the first one I found, is from Chet V. And he says, the bird sounds like a killdeer. All one word, just looks like killdeer, but it's one word. The mother will feign injury and draw your attention to her in order to lead you away from the eggs, which is usually nearby on the ground. And then right under that, somebody named the Goober said, most ground nesting birds will lure predators away from the nest. They do this by pretending they have an injured wing. That makes a lot of sense to me based on what happened, and thus being easy prey, I guess, to kind of distract you. There you go. Now, I've never heard of a killdeer. I have heard of a grouse. Maybe that kind of, I feel like that word popped in my head. I'm not as up on my birds as I should be, and it happened pretty quickly, but I don't know. I'll have to look up a picture of a killdeer. Anybody ever heard of that? And maybe that was my culprit, because I think somebody else did say that as well. Interesting. Bird attacks on the trail. Let's open this. This is really light, but pretty big, and this is from Lothar in Massachusetts. Ooh, it's a hat. Ooh, what's that design right there? Transcendence Fighters. Hello Sean, I've been a long-time viewer, enjoy watching all your videos. You put out so many great videos and have inspired me to go on many adventures and always crave a cheeseburger after. A coworker and I recently started our own activewear brand to help those struggling with cancer, and do so by giving back 10% of our profits to nonprofits that support this mission. Well, I can respect that, sir. Here's a free hat, oh, and a sticker that I hope you will enjoy. Below is our website. I'll put a link in the video description. Thank you for the hat. I guess I'll take off my avocado hat and swap it. Nice. All right, got my hat on. That should make me even better at reading this next comment. What do we got? A little bit of skepticism about my usage of the Dutchware half-wit hammock on that Black Forest trip video that I just did. If you're not familiar with that hammock, instead of the traditional zipped bug net over the entire structure, if you will, or body of the hammock, it has just a draping bug net right up, I'd say about this far from your face, and comes down, meets with your chest, lays flush with your top quilt, and that keeps out the bugs. At least that's the theory. Some people are skeptical of it. I can tell you, I've had it on enough trips now with a lot of bugs, including the Black Forest trip. I had a lot of moths, I believe, attacking me. No issues whatsoever. I know it sounds really simple, and that's because it is, but it works. It just drapes down like I described, and it works well. The downside is, or I should say the trade-off, as with anything in life, there's a trade-off, right? So one thing, or I should say one advantage you don't get with that system compared to being completely encapsulated, if you will, in a bug net zip-up system is if you're hanging out and you just want to like maybe read a book, play with your phone or grab something off of your ridgeline organizer if you have one, or sometimes I just hang a stuff sack there, you know, with like a phone or some, I don't know, whatever you need kind of available when you're in your hammock. You do have to kind of reach out and get that, or if you're reading something, you know, you kind of tuck it in with you. So you don't have quite the same living space, if you will, but the point is to be minimal and lightweight. That hammock's like 10 ounces and super simple. So that's the trade-off there. I do like it, and it does work though, believe it or not. Works really well. Okay, here's a tip on the Esbit stove. I used an Esbit stove on that trip, and it's just one that came with my pack of Esbit cubes one time. I think it's around 2 ounces. It's just made in Germany out of some steel or some sort of metal. But anyway, this person says you could shave a few more ounces, see if you can get an Esbit stove that comes in a military MRE ration from overseas. They are stamped tin, fold as flat as a credit card. That will be good for low volume, and weigh next to nothing. Search on YouTube for one of the channels that does MRE reviews, and you should find out what I'm talking about. That's from Ket Camaro. All one word, that's his username. Thanks, Ket. I'm going to check that out. And if anybody else is familiar with that, or maybe where I could get it, I'm thinking maybe on eBay or something, I'd be willing to check that out. Could come in handy. My system was, I was luckily able to get that Esbit stove to fit inside of my 450 milliliter cup, which was a nice setup, and it cut down on the volume. But the credit card style you're talking about sounds pretty cool too. So I'll check that out. Thank you. Someone said, aren't those pants a bit sloppy on the legs? That's my same EMS camp pants with the zip-off legs that I've been using for, I don't know, 6 going on 7 years now. I've had the same pair. They've even got rips on them from when I face planted near, what was it, Mount Jefferson in the White Mountains on that trip with TJ, where I busted myself up. Had them forever. Yeah, they're kind of loose and baggy, but that keeps them cool. They dry fast, and my main priority when I wear those is, most of the time it's warm enough for shorts, and I did do that a couple times in this Black Forest trip video, but it keeps the brush off of me, and they stay cool. So I don't mind it. Yeah, they don't look the most fashionable, but I'm okay with that. And also on the Black Forest Trail, I didn't mention it in the video, but they have something called stinging nettles. I had never really paid attention to this before, but I saw it on some trip reviews. People were saying they're unavoidable in some spots, and I read that and then forgot about it until my legs started getting a stinging sensation. And that's because at the time I did get hot, and I went ahead and took off the bottom part to convert my pants into shorts, and I was getting beaten up on a couple sections. I think it was on the last day, on my 3rd day out of 3, where it was unavoidable. They were just all over the trail, like encroaching on it. You had this little narrow monorail, and it was almost impossible not to walk through them. And so it was nice just to slap those pant legs back on, even though I was getting a little hot, and that kept my legs from being stung up. So that's my pants. Oh, and I already opened this one, but I got to give a big shout out to Packet Gourmet. I have been a fan and a customer of theirs for years now, but they just recently celebrated their 10-year anniversary by upgrading the labeling on their packages, and I gotta say, it looks really cool. Now, like I said, I've been using these guys for years, but there's their old package, right? Fine with me, tasted great, but I'll tell you what, pretty cool artwork on the new ones. And they also came out with this. I've tried a lot of their stuff, but this is brand new, so I haven't tried it. A Good Day Sunshine Bowl. Whole oats with quinoa, mango, almonds, pecans, chia, hemp hearts, coconuts, and maple syrup. So thank you, Packet Gourmet, for sending that to me to try, as well as, you see here, another example of their new labeling, my all-time favorite backpacking meal ever. If you've watched me eat this, you're probably aware of that. Texas State Fair chili. I have great memories of this. That is some good stuff, but the new labels are pretty cool. I like the vibe. They seem to have a different artwork for each type of meal. So that's what the breakfast ones look like. These are the dinners. Pretty cool, guys. So if you haven't heard of Packet Gourmet before, then you probably haven't watched too many of my videos, and that's fine, but give these guys a try. I would highly recommend them. Their stuff is super tasty, and it just tastes really natural compared to other brands out there. I do eat a lot of different backpacking meals. It's not like I only eat Packet Gourmet. I do have some fond nostalgia connected to Mountain House meals as well, but I will tell you, it's like comparing Chef Boyardee to actual going out to an Italian restaurant and getting pasta. There's just something about their food that, if you've tried it, you know what I'm talking about. It's just tastes more real, if you will. So I'm looking forward to trying that out. Thank you, Packet Gourmet. But back to my other packages that I'm not aware of the contents to. Let's see what we got. Last item here, pretty big. Don't know what it is. Wasn't expecting this. This is from Keith G out in Connecticut. It's pretty heavy. And then I do want to talk about upcoming trip ideas next. Don't let me forget that. Oh, wow. It's a book. Thank you, Keith from Connecticut. Mt McKinnley, The Conquest of Denali, which is also my dog's name. You know what? My viewers are way too nice. So now I got a bunch of studying up to do on Mt McKinnley and some awesome photos in here too. Photos and info. This is really nice, man. And I don't see a note, so thank you is all I can say, Keith. Hope you're watching this right now. And I really do appreciate this. I'm going to check this out. Put this upstairs. A little coffee table type book. Anybody ever been to Mt McKinnley or Denali, whatever you want to call it? I know one of my viewers, whose name is actually Denali 96, I think, has been commenting for a while. I remember him particularly because he was up on Mount Washington the same exact weekend that Mike and I were doing our snow trench trip a few miles over from him on Mount Crawford. He happened to comment on while I was driving home that he was up there, and I said, dude, I just got done doing the same thing. I kind of went off on a tangent there, but my point is I do love my viewers and I love this book, so thank you once again for that, sir. Now, I said I wanted to speak about my next trip because I have some comments giving me some suggestions for trips, because I have mentioned my next trip. I want to head down south somewhere. I don't know where yet. I'm trying to stick to my idea or my plan of doing and going on and editing and posting one feature-length trip and trip video per month. I'm going to try to stick to that. We'll see. Life happens, but so far I have been kicking them out, and I'm proud of that. I'm trying to get them out just more often, trying to ramp things up for everybody out there. So if anyone has suggestions, please let me know in this video, and thank you to the people who have already been giving me suggestions. What I do is I take your ideas and then I put them in a bookmark folder based on the location, and I have a nice kind of collection, if you will, of future trips. This is from Raymond I, and he says, I heard you mention you were thinking about a south trip. Standing Indian Loop in the Nantahala, hope I said that right, wilderness just outside of Franklin, North Carolina is one of the better loops. It also has two of the most prominent peaks in the south, Albert Mountain and Standing Indian Mountain. Makes a great 3-day, 2-nighter, which is my usual MO. I like to do a little 3-day weekend type thing, although if possible in the middle of the week, but you know what I'm saying. I'm going to check that out. I appreciate that. Very cool. Because my plan is, I'm going to try this. I still have to take this out on a trip. This is my Gregory Optic 48, brand new pack that I got from Gregory for testing, and I haven't done a video specifically on this yet because I want to actually test the gear. And a good way to do that is just to take it out on a trip. I'm thinking if I take what I learned from my 21-liter pack challenge video and apply it to this more traditional pack. That one does have its advantages, but I won't get into that now. That's my my GoRock GR1, that is. But the Gregory is more of a traditional backpack. It does have the nice feature back here that's supposed to keep your back cool, and it came with a rain cover too. So I'm thinking by applying what I learned from that trip to this, I might be able to get my weight down to like 8 pounds. I don't know. I'll see. It's just for fun. I enjoy the challenge of it, getting the weight down, but I also like to bring enough gear and stuff to have a good time. It's all about balance, right? That's what I've learned over the years, but it is fun to challenge yourself. So this guy is 48 liters instead of 21. I'm going to easily be able to fit my gear in here, and then also maybe some of my camera gear that I had in my front pack on the last video. I might be able to go back to putting in my backpack, which will be nice, especially if it rains and whatnot. So that's my idea. My next trip is probably going to be 3 days, 2 nights somewhere down south, but I'm open to wherever. If you have suggestions, please feel free to let me know. I also haven't been back to the Smokies. I can't believe, I think it's been 4 years since I went down there, and as soon as I went down before, I said I got to come back to this place, and I just haven't. So anybody has any suggestions specifically for there as well, or anywhere, let me know, because that trip is coming. It is, well, we're in July now, so sometime this month. All right, I guess we'll finish up with one more comment for backpacking camping, and this is from Life is Good 070 on YouTube, of course, and he says we need a dry bag gravity filter. So I guess he means by that like actually converting a dry bag, because he says 2-liter bags are so annoying camping with a large party. I want to go to the river once and have 1 to 2 gallons. Enough for nighttime and morning and topping off people's packs. Yeah, on a group trip, especially if you're the person kind of in charge of water, you don't want to be making a lot of trips. I know what you're saying. I don't know about 2 gallons, and I think he's referring to my 2-liter bag that I use sometimes as not being big enough. Sawyer does have a 1-gallon bag here. That's pretty big. I'll put a link in the video description for that. Maybe check this out. Of course, it depends on what filter system you already have, but this one here is a gallon and is made for a gravity setup. So check that out in the video description, or if anybody has any ideas out there for, are there 2-gallon collapsible bags out there for water that you use in a gravity situation? I don't know. I don't think I've seen a 2-gallon one, but it's probably out there. You never know. I've never been on a trip where I felt the need to do that, because most of my friends at this point have their own water filters. So what we usually do is actually bring maybe a filter per couple. Especially nowadays, some of them are so light and small that even if each person had their own filter and took care of their own water, it's not the end of the world. But doing it all for the group is a good thing as well. So there you go. Maybe check out the 1-gallon Sawyer gravity system. And yeah, I think that about covers it for this installment of Mail Call. Thanks to everybody out there for joining me on this one. Also, thanks to everybody that supports the channel. If you are looking for a way to support the channel at no cost to you, real simple. If you shop on Amazon, just use or bookmark the link up here on the little I button. The next time you do some shopping, Amazon will kick a small percentage of whatever you spend towards the next trip. Other than that, that's all I got to say. So till next time, I'm Syntax77, and you have fun out there.